Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly update for April 4th, 2021. So I know it's Easter, so for those who are celebrating, happy Easter. Not, don't worry about it. So this week was a very strange week for me reading wise. I did really well because I had the weekend I had Monday off this last week, so I got to read a lot, which I get to finish a few books that I've been working on for quite a while, so I was pretty excited about that. And then my reading just kind of fell off. And yesterday, when I had a few things I had to do in the morning and I had a few errands. Really, I had no reason not to just read, and I had a plan to get really far into the book that I'm in the middle of, and it just didn't happen. I actually took a nap on the couch very unexpectedly. I am not a nap person, so I must have just been very tired this week. I didn't sleep as well as I would like. I have been dreaming very vividly for some odd reason, and my cats have been super cuddly. Anyway, so they wake me up. Anyway, so it was a weird reading week. So I did finish a few things, and I'm in the middle of some things, and because again, it's the new month, so we've restarted. I restarted certain projects and things, so we'll see how I do. Anyway, so let's start. I'm going to go through the books that I completed, the ones that I'm in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to read in the next week. So on Sunday, I finished a memory called Empire by R. Katie Martine. This is the first book in I can't say the word though. What's the series name? Anyway, but it's a duology. The second book, A Desolation Called Peace, is out now. It just came out in hardback. I'm waiting for my library from this because I got to the end of this book and I was like, I need the next book. I was gonna wait and go, oh well, I'll get it in a few months. No. As soon as the library can give it to me, I want to read it. I really enjoyed this sci-fi. So this follows a woman called Mahit, and she is an ambassador from a small station where she, grew up on a space station and doesn't have a planet or anything like that. So they live very differently, and they have things called imagos, which are ways that they transfer information from one generation to the next. It's very high-tech kind of thing. It's just fun. It's an interesting concept. I mean, I've seen it in other things as well, but I really like the way she did it in this book, and how her interaction with the imago is in this, and what happens with that throughout the story. So she's a stationer going to the Empire, and the Empire, of course, has this is trying to take even more space and stuff, and so the ambassadors trying to. The job is to kind of not be annexed into the Empire. So her predecessor, something that's happened to him, they had gotten a call that they needed to send a new ambassador for the first time in 20 years. And so she goes in not sure what's going on and finds out that he has died. And of course, it's mysterious circumstances, and then it's her dealing with all the politics of what was going on when that ambassador was there, and then what's happening while she shows up, and all the things in the Empire. And actually, it built really well. I had no idea really where this was going. It would jump from certain things to certain things, and then we'd come back to something that they talked about earlier, and how that influenced something else. It was really well done. I really enjoyed this. It really never did what I expected it to, and I did tear up at one point. Because of something that happened, and I was really surprised about that, but I was not happy. But it made the book an emotional response. I really enjoyed this overall. I have heard some people say that it's kind of hard to get into, or like a more harder sci-fi. I don't know if I'd put this on the level of 9 Fox Gambit or To Like the Lightning, but this was still fun for me. I think this is my brand of sci-fi, is really these kind of weird technology ones and weird political ones that are not quite the same as some of the other. I don't know how to explain this, but so far these are like these are like some of the best sci-fi I've read. So this is a great book. I am so excited to get read the second book. If I love the second book as much, I'm going to buy physical copies of these because I will reread them. I have an ebook of this right now that I read from my Kindle app. So, but as I said, if it turns out I really like the second one, I will probably wait till they're in paperback and get them both. I really enjoyed this. If you like sci-fi and like a little weirdness, but a lot of political stuff, and have a kind of the fish out of water ambassador who knows things but doesn't, like, again, foreigner, so doesn't quite know everything. It's just, I thought it was really well done, and the relationships and the things in here, and the ending was just, I did not see part of that coming, and I mean, part of it I kind of got, and then I was totally stunned with what happened. Anyway, so I really like this, and I'm looking forward to reading the second book as soon as my library lets me have it, because I am like 7 on a couple of copies, so I mean, it should be hopefully this month or next month. I'm hoping to get that. So I had been reading that for like a month. That was my book that I bought, or that I've been reading on my lunches at work. And it wasn't until the weekend, that weekend, that I finally just read the last 100 or so pages. I did buy a new Kindle. So I bought the little Kindle, which keeps showing the ads of like every hot contemporary romance. And I don't quite know why the ads are going that way, since I haven't bought a contemporary romance in probably about 3 or 4 years, maybe longer. Anyway, so I'm really enjoying my brother and I bought these. So I get to blame him, because I told him I wanted to buy a new Kindle because I like reading on my iPad sometimes, but I didn't want to take it to work with me. And I get tired of reading off my phone because it's so small. And my phone's also having some issues. So I talked to him on Saturday, and they said we'd bought Kindle, so they came in on Monday. So my brother and I both have been taking them to work, and we both are enjoying being able to read at work and having it there instead of trying to hold a book and eat. But anyway, working out really well. Anyway, so I just wanted to point that out. So far I like it. It's, again, we got the cheapest versions, and again, we got it. That's all they're there for us. As I said, I have the iPad for all the other things I want to use it for, like when I'm sitting on the couch and don't want to get up to my computer. So anyway, I'm really enjoying them. Okay, so sorry, little thing. I was glad to get that. Anyway, so then the next book I finished was on Monday, and between Sunday and Monday, I spent a lot of my time reading, and I finished The Count of Monte Cristo. So, oh my God, I love this book. So this is by Alexandre Dumas. It was translated by Robin Buss. I really, really, really enjoyed this book. This is by far the best book I've read so far this year. This is definitely a book that probably has cracked my top 10. I really want to reread it already. Like, I'm already planning, like, maybe next year I'll get the audiobook and listen to it and just take it in a different, I like to reread by audiobook sometimes because you just get it a different way. And because it'll be gigantic, that might be the way to go. I don't know, but I loved this. So I read this for March of the Mammoths. And I got it done within the month because I got it done on the 29th. So yay me. That was my goal. I was trying to get it within the 31 days. So I did get it done. I read it with a group of other ladies who are all still reading it. I was the only one who planned to do it within the month. So I was way ahead of everybody. So we were doing things on Voxer and leaving messages. And of course, I've left messages for everything. I did not leave one for the end, because I want them to get closer before I talk. I could have left one of my impressions at the very end, but I think I'm going to wait. And when they get closer, I might reread the end. And then be able to discuss it when more of them are there. I don't know. I couldn't leave a message. I just wanted to say I was done, but there were just so many emotions by the end of this book. And I didn't really know what to say. And I still don't know what to say. I just love this book. This book was so fast-paced for how huge it is. There are only a few scenes that I was like, why are we doing this? This doesn't make sense. Later it makes sense, but there's only a few times that I was like, okay, this is kind of dragging a little bit. But really, it was a basis for something else, and you see what he did later. And I think this is one of the most masterfully plotted books I've ever come across. As I said, I very much coming from someone who writes for fun, I can see how the things he did in the beginning that come in and the end and things that just I was not expecting, first of all, and then I didn't see how that would tie in until later. I mean, there's a few times I knew what he was doing, like I could see where it was going just because I've read a lot of books and things. But there are a few times I did not see coming how he got that to work in his favor. So again, we're following Edmond Dantes and how he is falsely imprisoned, and then he spends years in prison, and then once he then there's revenge when he gets out. So this book just went in so many directions and so many plot lines I did not expect. I liked the way almost all of it went in the end. I was surprised at how things turned out, like for all the characters, all the main characters, the good and the bad, and then the ones who are affected by what he does. It's just, I was just so well done. I love this book. And again, I'm already planning to reread this, hopefully. I'm going to find, if someone knows what audiobook is a really good one, I might use an Audible credit or something, just because I think I'm going to reread this. Probably, if I don't reread it this year, it'll probably be next year or the next year or two. I don't think it'll go very long before I reread this. I really want to go back and then see everything a little more clearly. Because again, I can look back and go, okay, yeah, I remember that was plotted there, or was planted there. The little, these little herrings, these red herrings, that some of them were real and some were not. And I think it was so great. And so I could, talk about this forever. And I can't wait till my Voxer reader, the Voxer group, they get farther in, and then we can all talk about it. Because again, I'm pretty sure once they all get towards the end, I might reread the end just to be able to comment again. But it was so good, and I'm so glad I pushed myself to read it within the month. I think I got a lot more out of it by reading it faster, especially the end, because that's when I was like, I need to know what happened. And so the last couple days, as I said, this last weekend I read a whole bunch of it, so to finish, and then on Monday I finished it, and I'm so glad. Of course, I went into a complete reading slump after that for the rest of the evening. I tried to read several books, and I couldn't get into them, and finally I just had to go with something light and easy. And I picked up the next Bridgerton book. So I got When He Was Wicked, which is book 6 in the Bridgerton series, and this follows the 6th child, or the third female, Francesca. And this one it was not the one I was really looking forward to. Because Francesca isn't one who's very prominent in the other books. She is very kind of on the periphery, and you don't know a whole lot about her. And this book is pretty much your first real introduction to her. We got her a little bit in one of the other books that she was still young and around. I don't know if it was the first or second. It might have been the second book. I'm not sure. But then she gets married at one point, and then you don't hear about her too much, and because she's not there all the time, because her husband was Scottish, and so she or an earl. So this follows her and how she was married, and then he passed away, and we see that, and then we see what the aftermath of when his cousin takes over as earl, and their relationship and things that happen in that over a long period of time. I mean, they were separated for many years after the first earl died. So this is not my favorite, but it was a fun ride in most of it. The only thing, Francesca I liked her all up until she had this one defect of dealing with her emotions that was kind of annoying after a while. But by the end, I really liked the story and the couple and stuff like that. It was not my, was not my favorite book, but it's definitely one I still will reread. I still gave it a good rating and stuff. It's just, of the books so far, this is like kind of middle of the road. It's not the bottom, but it's not near the top either, if that makes any sense. But I thought it was a solid, good book, again, for Regency romance and in the Bridgerton series. And because you get kind of glimpses, you just don't get so much of the family in this one. Again, Francesca's a little different from the rest of them. So, but I finished that. And the only reason I even picked that up is because on Sunday I was watching the Bitter Single Ladies Read Romance live show for March. And they mentioned the Bridgertons. And I mean, I think Angie asked me what, if I was in the middle of that still or something about it. Anyway, it made me remember that I had the next book to read. So anyway, so hopefully I'm making my way through that series. That's a series I'd like to complete this year. So I'm working on it. I got one done. So that's all I finished. So I finished those 3. So as I said, and I finished this on the 1st. I think it was the 1st. Yeah. Pretty sure that was the first. Anyway, so I do want to talk about a DNF just really quick. It's okay. So again, most of the time I DNF, I've read pretty far into a book and then it just didn't work out for me. So I got on my Kindle after I finished a memory called Empire. I picked up another one and I decided to go fantasy because I had so many fantasy books. And I tried The Wolf of Orenarrow by K.S. Villoso, and this did not work for me. So I only read about 20 pages, and so I don't think I can like say I know for sure that this is not going to work for me, but it just right now didn't work for me. And I don't know if it's part of my slump after the Count of Monte Cristo, but I tried to read this 2 days and I actively did not want to pick this up, and that's pretty much like I just need to move on and get another book because obviously that's not working for me. So the fantasy starts out, it's supposed to be about a queen who on the eve or on when she was going to get coronated, her husband slash significant other walks away from her and her 2-year-old child and doesn't get crowned with her, and she killed somebody. I'm not sure who that was. We don't know in the first scene. Anyway, so you know there's some history going on. Then it's like 5 years later, and he sent a letter saying he wants her to meet him in this other city, as she decides to go. So I only got that far, and that's kind of an early premise. So again, I didn't get a huge amount of the world, but what I got so far of her, and this was in first person, so this also could be my problem with it. Because again, first person, I have to really buy the main character like that. I'm going to follow them. She was, for a queen who had been queen for 5 years of this brutal like area trying to keep everybody not from having fights, and she's considered the bitch queen, because I think that's the title of the Chronicles of the Wolf Queen. Oh, well, they said the the bitch queen on Goodreads that I read before. She was kind of wishy-washy, and I just didn't like her so far. I mean, I only read 20 pages, but I was already getting annoyed with her because of what she was. This man walked away from her 5 years ago. She doesn't really know why he did, but he's had no contact with her or her son, and she's gonna go meet him, which I didn't have a problem with that part of it because it could be very political, because he was supposed to be the one ruling with her, but he walked away. My problem was her emotional reaction to it and her promises to her child, and it was within 20 pages. I'm already like, I don't trust her and I don't like her, and it had nothing to do with her being morally gray or anything. It actually was, she I don't know, it was maybe it was too, she was trying to get her too sympathetic to me. The author was trying to, I don't know, but it just didn't resonate with me, and I was like, I don't want to read this. So again, this is a DNF for me. Again, it was on ebook. I bought it a little while ago. The third book is coming out. I hear people love this book, but I don't know anybody personally who has read this, and I just didn't get along with it, and I feel really bad that it's just not for me. And you know, I just have too many fantasy books and too many books overall to read something that I am not enjoying. So again, I don't usually DNF quite that quickly, but it was like I had just this, the reaction to it was so immediate that I'm like, I don't like this, and that's so bad. So anyway, so let's talk about the books I'm in the middle of, or you know, reading. So I picked up a different ebook. I picked up The First Omega by Megan E. O'Keefe. So she wrote Velocity Weapon, which is still on my shelf to read as science fiction. This is a dystopian novella that she just released on the 30th. I pre-ordered it because a couple of people that I follow on Twitter were mentioned that this pre-order is coming out, and it was pretty cheap, a couple bucks, and again it's like under 100 pages. So I thought, oh, I'll give it a shot. I know I have a whole book of her from her sci-fi series to read, but I just thought, well, I'll pick up the small one first. So I've only read, I don't know, I think I'd read about, I don't know, about 10, 15 pages. Again, I read it on lunch a couple of days. I didn't read a whole bunch on Friday at all. But this follows kind of a bounty hunter, but somebody who who's out in the wilderness. This is a post-apocalyptic, well, it seems like a post-apocalyptic. It's like a dystopian where the middle of the U.S. is all desert, or, you know, like there's no life out there anymore. And everybody lives on the coast. But the trucks have to still run. I think they're trucks on like tracks or of some sort that run between both the coasts. And there are, of course, pirates who try to steal things. And so the bounty hunter gets a call saying that one of their trucks they've lost contact and it's not moving. So she goes and finds them, and she's notices that obviously something happened, that pirates had attacked, and she finds a young teenage girl in the truck. And when she calls it in, she finds out there's supposed to be 2 girls and they are the cargo. So I'm not sure anything beyond that, how it's going. So far I like it. It's again another, I'm pretty sure it was, why is this not going to go to location? Yeah, so I think it's another first person. So I do, it just depends. Like, I like her attitude so far. She's pretty badass because people are scared of her. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. So that's I'm going to read that probably on lunch through this week. I'm hoping to finish it this week. And then I'll maybe pick up something bigger next time on my Kindle. But I might pick a couple novellas this month, just to get through some stuff that I own. So, what else? So so I did start an audiobook. And I did this for Invisible Cities. This is Turn Right at Machu Picchu. Rediscovering the Lost City One Step at a Time by Mark Adams. And I forgot to write down the narrator. I will get that next week. I barely started this. I started this actually end of March because I had to clean my bathroom. Anyway, so I had to have an audiobook, and I had already finished my other audiobook the week before, didn't I? Anyway, I don't remember. Point is that I wanted to start this book, and I got it from the library, this physical copy. So I didn't listen to it again. So I haven't picked it up since that one day when I was cleaning on Monday when I was off. So this is a story about a man who decides to walk the trail, I think, that goes to Machu Picchu. Now I can't remember what this trail was called. He just mentioned it, right? Like, as I said, I read this a week ago, so I can't remember what the name is. I'll know more when I get deeper into it, but he's not exactly like a hiker or a camper or anything, but he wants to do this. He married a Peruvian wife, and so he wants to know more about the culture and about things, and he's gonna go on this trip. So I'm not sure. As I said, I didn't get very far. I only got like 15-20 pages into it that day when I listened to it. So anyway, we're going to try that. I've heard my cousins did go to Machu Picchu, but I remember when they read this book before they went, they were driving home from, I think it was from a Christmas, and I remember them talking about it. And so I had put it on my list, and I got it as an ebook, not an ebook, as an audiobook long time ago when it was on sale, and I just have never listened to it. And since it popped up for Invisible Cities, I thought I better read the one from Peru that I do own. So anyway, let's see, let's talk about this one. And I started Dr. Thorne. So this is book 3 in the Barsetshire series, Chronicles of Barsetshire. I always say that wrong. Anyway, so again, I'm in a read along on Instagram. Dr. Thorne is the 3rd book, and a lot of people say this is their favorite of the series, so we'll see. I mean, again, I just started it. I'm only 3 days in, so I'm only, 38 pages in. So as I said, I'm going to read a chapter a day, approximately. The first check-in is the 15th, and I'm supposed to have 12 chapters done. So I have a couple of leeway. Like, I don't have to read it every day, but I'm going to try to, because again, if I read it every day, then I'll be done mid-May. But if I start skipping days, it'll be the end of May. So again, this is going to carry over. I don't know a whole lot yet. We've just been introduced to Dr. Thorne and the premier family. This is a small town called Greshambury, and the Greshams are the other family that we're following as well. So far, that's all I know. Not a whole lot, but we're hopefully going to learn a lot more about that, as I said, to get into it. I also, so then on Friday? Yeah, Friday I started The Sinister Mystery of the Mesmerizing Girl by Theodora Goss. This is book 3 in the Athena Club series. So I've read the other 2. The first one I read that in November? The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. And then I read European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman. I think I read that and I think I finished it in January. So it's been a couple months. I want to finish this series out because, I'm trying to do better about reading my series closer together. So again, this is book 3. So what's going on in here is not easily explained. I don't want to give away anything that happens in the other books. So it's really, it's late 1800s, and we have characters who are the daughters of, or characters in old horror, in earlier horror novels and stuff, like Mary Jekyll is Dr. Jekyll's daughter. Diana Hyde is Hyde's daughter. There's Rappaccini's daughter is in here, and also someone from Dr. Moreau. And it was just, there's quite a few different things. Sherlock Holmes and Watson are in the first book. They're characters as well. It's just, there's so many crossovers from books from the early 1800s through the Victorian age. And so it's all those kind of different kind of horror stories, and but this is like very adventurous. These girls are now, by this point they call themselves the Athena Club, but they're all have to do with, they've been experimented on or are somehow connected with somebody who has been. And I'm not explaining this fairly well, but I really enjoyed the first book. It was just really fun. And second book was good, but it was just a little long. I think that she let that go a little too long. But this one's much shorter, or back to the size of the other one. So I'm hoping to get through this pretty quickly. I was hoping to read more of this yesterday, but I just did not read much at all yesterday because I took that nap. Anyway, so as I said, I'm about 120 pages in. So I have over 300 pages left to go. So I'm hoping to read this, early this week and get this done. Yes, Cooper. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so then let's talk about what I think I'm going to read after I finish The Sinister Mystery of the Mesmerizing Girl. I want to read one of my Aussie April picks. I want to either read The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart by Holly Ringland. So this is about a young cat. a young girl who goes after something traumatic happens, I believe. She goes and lives with her grandmother and has something to do with flowers where she works. I'm not sure. I've just heard really good things about it, and I've owned it, so it's Aussie. I should really read that. And then the other one is the book Naturalist book of the month, which is Island Home by Tim Winton. Again, I've never read anything by him, but this is supposed to be a landscape memoir, so I'm sure it's talking about his childhood or his personal accounts of where he lives somewhere in Australia. So anyway, I'm going to try to get to that because it's a library book. So I don't know what I'll feel like picking up after The Sinister Mystery. But I'm hoping to read one of those books. So we will see. So that is it. I do want to restart doing my prompt board. I did do it in March. You guys just never saw it because I kept forgetting to do it while my video was running. So you'll see a picture of it from when I do my March stats. So the only thing I get to knock off so far is I finished the Bridgerton book. So I continued a series. And technically, it was a historical fiction. I'm going to count it. Anyway, so that's so far for April. Not much else because I haven't read all that much. But I will try to be better about getting that back at the end of my video. March, it just kind of slipped and I forgot at least 3 weeks in a row, I think. So anyway, I did mark it. I did fairly well. We'll see what happens. Anyway, that's it. What are you guys reading? Anything good? Let me know. Have you guys read any of these or are reading them? Let me know. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.